So, Krystal, Fight Mama, all that great stuff.
Yes.
We're in your neck of the woods.
This is my neck of the woods.
This is your domain.
In the Forest City.
I love that. So what's new and what's exciting?
Oh my goodness. So much is new and so much is exciting. I think it's important to note that I love London and I love that it's called the Forest City. It's not like overflowing with forests, but that's okay.
Maybe my neck of the woods, like off of Fanshawe Park Road, yeah.
You find there's a lot of forests?
Oh yeah, when you go down Kalele and there's like, you look out, there's like all the forest areas.
Okay.
Hunting season.
So that's where the forests of Forest City reside.
Hunting rabbits, yeah? Like Elmer Fudd?
Maybe.
Yeah, you said Sesame Street, I'm bringing in Looney Tunes.
It is. You know what? It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But no, business is very busy and I'm loving it. The Fight to End is rolling along, which is exciting. I can't believe it's already September. It's 2 months away.
September 11th as we're recording this.
September 11th. Yes, we actually watched a documentary last night on the events of September 11th. And every year it doesn't stop being shocking or sad. And I think it's one of those things where we all remember where we were on September 11th. I was lucky enough to see the monument and the museum in 2014. And we actually got to hear Rudy Giuliani speak about his time as the mayor. And this was back in 2014. So I think before he was known for anything else, he was known as the mayor during that time.
Yeah, it was a time. It was a time in a life of, I remember being in school, high school that is, and not knowing what the Trade Center towers were. Because we never were, learning about that. And they slid the TV. I don't know if you remember this, like how they had the TV on like wheels, like right across. I'm like, what the heck's going on? We're watching this from like CNN, all the news stations and stuff like that.
In a fun moment right now, I realize that I'm much older than you.
That's fine.
Age is nothing but a number. Same TV rolling through my university that morning.
Yeah.
But I just remember my mom paged me on my pager, and she was watching the news and she was just very panicked about what was happening. And I just remember just groups of students watching as the unthinkable happened. But I also remember thinking it didn't seem real because we see so many movies with special effects and things like Independence Day where you see these things happen. It's just really hard for your brain to click together and say this is actually happening. So yeah, the devastation and the impact moving forward. Like our kids were both born after that happened, so they were lucky enough to see the museum last week or 2 weeks ago, and it's a different impact because it's sad, but it's kind of like us going back and learning about JFK or learning about something that is sad, it made a huge impact, but you weren't there.
It's so true. So true. And I feel like that's the time of where it's so symbolic. Like this morning I woke up, CNN's on, and I'm watching them like live there, and it's so surreal.
Yeah.
I feel like it touches everybody every year very differently and things like that.
Absolutely. And I mean, even from, not to make it about business, but a business perspective, when we heard in 2014 from Rudy Giuliani, it was actually about emergency preparedness and how, as devastating as it was that so many lives were lost, that they had a plan. They hoped to never use it, and it really had to kind of go into high gear, but having like planning for the unthinkable, and then hoping that it never happens.
Absolutely. We talk about unthinkable. You are just, how do I say this? A beast in your profession. You are. You do a lot. I'm sure your husband, Brett, will say the exact same thing, right? We see Fight to End emails. You're doing your own thing in business. You traveling the world, all that good stuff. So you're a beast. You're a champ. It's like Wonder Woman, ladies and gentlemen.
I love life. I absolutely do. And I love every piece of adventure. I have some rules about working hard and playing hard. And I think at the end of the day, every decision is made with what would I regret more?
Talk about rules. What do those mean to you when it comes to business?
Oh my goodness. So as far as, it's tough because I think like a lot of entrepreneurs, especially women, we are workaholics, and not in a bad way or a good way. We just are. And so when it really comes down to seeing, especially if you're self-employed, you're your own boss. So you can be aggressively difficult or you can be way too lenient. So it's really about getting to know yourself. But really it comes down to just kind of your KPIs. Like, what are you doing every day, every week, every month? What does that look like? And making sure that at the end of the day, you're making an impact on your clients, on your colleagues, on hopefully on the world. I know I do a lot of charity work in my efforts to really kind of leave the world better than when I arrived in it. And a big piece for me is just making sure that my clients know that I've got them. And on one hand, like I'm not for everyone. I know if people aren't looking for that extra care and someone to really just like go for it, it might not work. But the clients that choose me really just, they love the care. They love the extra above and beyond. And that's why I do it. Like I didn't kind of grow up thinking I'd like to be a salesperson.
This episode's sponsored by Gym Desk. If you're a gym owner, you know how hard it can be to keep track of billing, memberships, marketing, and other crucial aspects of your business. Whether you're running a martial arts school, CrossFit gym, or 24/7 fitness facility, Gym Desk makes it easy to manage everything at your gym and grow your memberships. Join thousands of other successful gym owners and start a free trial today by visiting gymdesk.com or by clicking the link in our show notes.
Don't feel like a salesperson. I really feel like I am a kind of a customer service professional who I'm an expert negotiator. I am very good at taking a situation and bringing the stress down so that I can carry my clients through it. And I also love kind of mentoring and teaching. We actually have a whole group starting tomorrow of agents that I'm kind of bringing through a program called 100 Days to Greatness with Buffini and Company. And it really is, I think it comes down to helping each other, serving those around you and really helping in any way you can.
I have to call you an impact leader because I feel like that's what you also have to add on to your repertoire, is that you're an impact leader. And you speak a lot about not being for everyone. I feel like I'm the same way. I'm not for everybody, but we push past and we find our tribe, we find our community and things
Absolutely.
like that. And the right people resonate. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And what I like about you is being at one of your events, you bring the fun aspect, right? Where does that come from? The touching of the nose. See, I'm doing it here.
The nose touch. So it's funny. This is like my whole life. I've always just loved little fun things. I love having fun. I love bringing fun into it. And when I was younger, I loved family games, whether it was a huge water fight with my family or we'd play charades or gestures or whatever it was. And in charades, nose touch means yes. It means you got it right. And it just became part of what I did as a person. And so I thought it was a phase. Brett will attest, I have phases all the time. There was a whole period of time where I dyed my food blue in my 20s.
Okay. That's new.
But those things come and go. It's maybe a month, I'm all in, and then I'm like, okay, not for me. But with the nose touch, I just started doing it. And then instead of it fading out, my friends started doing it too. And then we would do it in pictures. And I would get people to I have a nose touch picture with Scott Stratton.
I'm not sure who that is. He's
an author, an awesome author. And he wrote the book Unmarketing.
Okay.
But basically anyone that will do a nose touch picture with me, I'm in. We'll have to get another one.
Yeah. I don't see Brett doing the nose touch with you.
I have a picture from
You do have a
Milan
picture
where he's done many nose touches. We actually met because of the nose touch.
Okay. You going to talk about that?
I will.
A little bit?
Do you want to hear the rest of how the nose touch turned into a business thing now?
Absolutely. And then we'll get into that because
Okay.
I feel like we're going to be here for a while.
Okay.
I already know we can go 3 hours probably. Okay. But we're not going to do that today.
So I think people will appreciate not 3 hours. I think we could definitely talk for 3 hours.
Joe Rogan goes 3 hours with his podcast.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
It's all good.
something to strive for.
Of course.
So with the nose touch, I was doing it. And then I was at this event and there were like, I don't know, thousands of realtors there. And this realtor I know comes up to me and he says, Krystal. And he says, girls, this is Krystal. She's the nose touch realtor I was telling you about. So I thought that was kind of funny. I tell my coach, I'm big into coaching and personal growth. I tell my coach and he just loses his mind, Rory. He was like, this is it. This is it. And I said, this is what? He's like, this is it. This is what we're going to do. Because he knew at the time I was trying to move my business into a new market in London. I was in Guelph before. And I said, what? He said, yeah, we're going to use the nose touch. And I said, no, we're not. No, we're not. Like, that, it's fun, but I'm not using it for business. Like, come on. So he planted that seed. And then the next time I got my headshots, the very last headshot, I just was like, nose touch. The photographer was like, what are you doing? And I said, don't worry about it. I'll just keep it for fun. It's fine. And now it's everywhere. Now it's on my business card. It's on posters. It's all over my marketing.
It's on hand sanitizer.
It's on hand sanitizer.
Product placement is its finest.
We went through a global pandemic. My number one question, what does the nose touch mean?
Are you serious?
I'm not kidding.
Wow.
Number two was like, what's happening with the market? But, that it just became my thing. Now with Brett, so Brett and I met briefly a year before we actually met. So I was invited to London to speak at Mo Mondays. Did you know about Mo Mondays?
No.
Okay, so Mo Mondays.
Remember, I'm like kind of like a youngin' a little bit here.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just a little bit.
You're just young.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Let me show you the ways.
Okay.
So,
the yellow brick road, like it Wizard of Oz, right?
Exactly. So Mo Mondays was this big event. And basically it was people from the community get up and they speak and they give a motivational story about 10 minutes. And it was just a great theory. People loved it. It was a networking event and it started in Toronto. And then in Guelph, we had one and I was asked to take that one over. So I did. I was the host of Mo Mondays. And here in town, Paula Morand and Victoria Craig ran a huge one. There was like 400 people every month that would come out. And because I was the host in Guelph, I was invited to come out and speak. So this was November 2015. On Paula's birthday, actually.
Okay.
So I came out, and because I'm very fun and I love games, at the halftime show there was a game, and it was one of those like stealing each other's presents games. So I got up with some other people, and everyone stole my presents, Rory. I had nothing. At the end, I had this empty box, and I was pretty bummed.
Wow.
But I started with nothing on the stage, so it was okay. So then I find out the box I had was not empty. There was a sheet of paper inside and it said that I won a mirror from Provincial Glass and Mirror.
Oh, look at that.
What? So
wonder who works there.
I know. So then I get to meet this very quiet French gentleman named Brett Lucier.
Okay. I didn't even know he was French. Okay, Brett.
The last name is French. I didn't know whether he was French or English because he was so quiet.
Yeah.
And my mind helped him out huge by blocking out the handlebar mustache that he had. We saw it in photos later. I can't remember his face. And we've decided that was my brain knowing that there was something in the future for us.
Hello?
I know. It was November, so it was a Movember handlebar mustache. It was for a good cause. I'll find that photo and I'll send it to you, Rory.
Oh no.
It's important.
Brett, I have nothing to do with this. I'm telling you that right now. Please do not come for me.
So as you know, Brett is not afraid to make a statement or an impact with his outfits, right?
Of course.
So anyway, so he takes a photo of me with the mirror, adds me on Facebook, adds me on Twitter, and that's the end of it.
Damn, okay.
So we don't really chat. Kind of the following year, I noticed like I put up some fun posts, so a few people were liking it, and I went to another event in London. I was invited again by Paula. She had a book launch, and this guy comes up to me and he's like, Krystal, hey. And I said, hi.
Who are you? Like,
I actually said to the person I was with, I'm like, can you go find out who that is? And he was like, why can't you find out who that is? I'm like, because he knows me And I can't just say I don't know him.
Play off the words knows you. Wow. I like that.
That was an accident, actually.
Okay.
But he went over and he's like, comes back. He's like, it's Brett Lucier. I'm like, from Facebook. Brett, hi. And we chatted and became kind of fast friends. So we noticed that our wit was matching. I was in the middle of this like dating break. So I was kind of putting a lot of effort into meeting people and getting to know who they were, but seeing everyone as like an androgynous blob, basically. Like I just was like, it was all about getting to know people and kind of putting myself out there to get to know new people. And it was fun. Like we had so many laughs. And then fast forward months and we started dating and now we're married and here I live in London.
I love that. So, because I feel like we can talk about a plethora of things. You just talk about you meeting Brett. So would you say who initiated? Was it you that initiated? Was it him that initiated? Or was it mutual? Because I feel like what I'm hearing right now is mutual.
It was pretty mutual because like we were both not like, it wasn't, I mean, if we had to say who it was, I definitely think it was him.
Brett, please don't come for me.
And I think it was Brett's interest in the real estate market that really started our one-on-one conversations. And we will leave it at that.
I love that because what I see is the epitome and something that I actually believe in. I feel like when you network and if you're single, it's best to be like networking. Not saying you mix business with pleasure, but that's where you find your ideal person. And I've heard a lot of successful high level entrepreneurs, YouTubers say the exact same thing. You always tend to meet your person. If you want to meet your person, the caliber, go out and network. You'd be surprised.
What I found for me and Brett and I will share all the time. We're both very passionate people. I
see that, yeah.
But what we share are our values. Our values are right in line. And it was during my dating break. And I've spoken about this at Mo Mondays as well. Like I just was not aligned with what I was looking for versus who I am. So when I took the time to really figure out what was important to me and things like integrity, giving back, learning, philanthropy, traveling, all of these things. When I really took into stock and then looked at the people around me, who was I bringing in, who was I attracting? They weren't people that matched up. And so where I would run into trouble was kind of 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks into a friendship or a relationship, these big pillar values would.
This episode is sponsored by Gym Desk. If you're a gym owner, you know how hard it can be to keep track of billing, memberships, marketing, and other crucial aspects of your business. Whether you're running a martial arts school, CrossFit gym, or 24/7 fitness facility, Gym Desk makes it easy to manage everything at your gym and grow your memberships. Join thousands of other successful gym owners and start a free trial today by visiting gymdesk.com or by clicking the link in our show notes.
Would not work. Because, I mean, it sounds kind of like a simple thing, but like reliability, saying you're going to do something and then doing it. It's not something that everyone has.
It's true.
But it's something that we share.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it really comes down to figuring out what's important to you and then finding someone that matches those core values.
The non-negotiables.
Yeah. Like everything else will fade, right?
I like that, yeah.
We're both very attracted to each other, but it's not about that.
No,
We love traveling, but we're equally happy sitting on our couch. Like it's less scenic, obviously, but.
And one of the things I'll speak to just from what I can see is that you guys both support each other in each AOR. You know what I mean? You can see that. Your networking events, he's there. Yes. Fight to End, Media Day. You were there. You're at Media Day.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I saw at Media Day.
Obviously, and then, very front and center.
Yeah, you're at Media Day. It's so far back, right? And so many things. There. And then I think about when we did the photo ops and all that. You were there, so it's like I like that, and it shows that that's like what a relationship is. You know what I mean? You have your fun side, you have your business side, and then you have your time to give back.
Yeah, we find like kind of we're both the cheerleader type. So to really just support the people around us and especially each other. And I know with Brett, I love that he's the same as me. One of our friends last week or 2 weeks ago called kind of in a panic because something was amiss. And even though we're both crazy busy, the next 15 minutes belonged to her, and we just cleared everything and we got to the bottom of it. We're very connected and we're very big solution people. We figured it out. It was all good. And then we could get back to the chaos of our lives.
So as married and you guys in business,
yes,
if anybody that's listening to this right now that's in a relationship with their husband or their wife or whatever they are gravitating to, what's the number one rule when it comes down to business in a relationship with your lover?
I think, and everyone has different ways of doing business, but I think it's just ultimately supporting the other person in where they're at and what they need at that moment. So as a real estate broker, I'll have a lot of people that will look at like my social media and like, oh, you get to travel everywhere. Isn't that great? I'm like, it is great because that's what I prioritize. But on that trip, I also spent hours on the phone negotiating deals.
Makes sense.
And I'll have to we'll be in Mexico and I'll have to go and sell a house. And it's not a boundary thing. I have people here that help me, but sometimes you just, in order to relax, you need to be there. So what I love on my side of it is that Brett understands that. So he's not going to be like, oh, you're on your phone again. We're supposed to be having time.
Thank you for saying that. Jesus.
And some people do it really, there's no right way. It's whatever way works for both of you. And same thing, we can be in the middle of something and then Brett will get a referral or someone will happen where a friend of ours has broken glass or there's been an emergency, and right away we pause everything, deal with that, then we're back to business.
Makes sense.
It's all about being adaptable for each other.
Love that. And I feel like the audience that's watching and listening to this can even speak to it, because even with me in podcasting and social media networking, it's always constant. Yeah. There's a time where I shut the phone off completely, but it's when you date people or you're seeing a person, they don't really understand. So it's always oh, what are you doing on your phone? Why are you always on your phone? It's it could be for that one little split second. I'm responding back to something. Yeah. And that's where you don't see the jucking and the jiving end up happening.
It can really be. You do have to take your time that's yours. And we try to be intentional. Actually, we were just talking about this yesterday. What happens with Brett and I, we love our friends. We love the people around us. We love traveling. We love everything. But then every now and then we'll step back and go, oh my goodness, we don't have a spare second. Yeah. And the calendar fills up and then we have to clear it out. Fills up, clear it out. It really takes effort to make sure that we're taking the time for us, because it's easy in this, whether it's for self-care or time with your partner, to take that and say, you know what, we'll do that later. Later. And then later doesn't come. Yeah. So it really is we try to make sure that we get out either to golf or to travel or to just spend time together.
Who's the better golfer, you two? For the record,
I think everyone would agree it's Brett. Okay. Brett just won. He just won us. He won us credits. So basically he won, but I won credits at our golf club, because he came in number one in his flight. Please don't ask me to explain how that all works. But there are flights, even though they're not flying, there are flights. And he was number one, and he was the happiest camper, and I get to buy stuff. So I also am the happiest camper. It really is a dual happy camper situation.
You guys have what I just love the both of you guys, because you guys are just the yin and the yang. You know what I mean? That's why I had to come to that networking event. I said, listen, I'm going to show up, not because only I've worked with Brett, in the charity, and then I'm doing now Fight to End, but it makes sense. You know what I mean? And you support the ones that are always supporting you. And it's even with that digital currency I even speak to, you know what I mean? That on Facebook or that on Instagram, or just reaching out to each other in a DM, checking in, things like that,
Yeah. And I find that being in Guelph, this is London's the third city I've built my business in. And I do find the reason I've been able to be so successful is it's all networking. It's all the business network. And I teach a lot of my colleagues, and I teach a lot of people in my groups, that it really is, if you come from a heart of service, then really you can take that stress away. And if you're focused on giving, the rest takes care of itself. Obviously you have to be careful. Like there's going to be every now and then you'll run into people that just care about taking. So
we don't have room for those people though.
You don't. And you have to, like, there's a way to be very giving and very caring, which I am and Brett is. And then there's a way just to keep an eye out for people that are more focused on their hand being out versus shaking your hand.
It happens.
Luckily, we don't run into a lot of those people. And I think it's because of the ones like, I mean, we're all in the same networks, right? So we have this core group of people who are just really focused on giving back and kind of making the lives better of those around them. And it's kind of like the more people you meet like that, the more you attract. And it really is good because we're equally happy when we can kind of make that connection or help build a bridge. And it feels fantastic.
No, I like that. We talk about business. We talk about a little bit about relationships. You know, I think one of the biggest thing is the mental well-being and the preparation that comes behind that in business. A lot of people don't know. A lot of early mornings, late nights, you know, and before I even give the mic back to you, it's like, even with the Fight to End, it's finding that time to do everything. And I know, like, I can speak for myself, but it's like when you work 30 hours a week, you put another 15, 20 hours into your business, into the podcast. It can be a lot for a lot of people, but it's like, you got to know what lens to shut off. And like when it's your mellow time, like after we're done this podcast here, I go home, I got to go to Walmart real quick, but like 5:30, 6 o'clock, I was telling a friend about this. Yeah. I'm like locked in, I'm chilling. I'm going to be sitting in the chair, just relaxing.
Nice.
Because you have to, you got to decompress. And some people just want a hamster wheel, keep going. For you, how do you shut all that off and the mental prep that goes into all that?
So I learned long ago that my number one priority, is me. And for me, the reason that happens is that if I can't be at my best, I can't give anything to anyone else. So I journal every day. I will work out. I'm always trying to figure out, like, learning. I'm in the middle of getting my MBA right now.
Okay.
We can go into that in a second.
Congratulations. We'll talk about that soon.
Thank you. But the real key is, and Brett supports this wholeheartedly, which is really, you need someone that gets it. But we have our routines. So my morning routine, which I've had friends that hear me and they're like, if we go, like, I went away with a girlfriend and I said, okay, like, we're sharing a room. So just to make sure, like, what's your morning routine?
But that's real.
Well, I didn't want to get in her way and she said, my what? and I was like, she still laughs about it. And she's like, my morning routine is I press snooze and then I leave. I was like, okay, that's great. We won't overlap. So for me, I always try to work out. The workout really never happens for the morning. I'm not a morning workout person, no matter how much I try. But I'll go for a little walk. I'll journal, coffee, breakfast, wake up, and then kind of go through. Then I can go through the day. Then I can check on everyone. Currently, I'm also trying to learn Italian.
Okay.
I'm a huge geek. I like to say it's a hidden geek, but yeah, everyone says it's not much of a secret.
Italian, eh? Okay.
Well, because we were just in Italy and we're supposed to be going to Italy in October. So I'm trying to learn it.
Before the event?
Yes. Yes, it's for a wedding. But I already speak French. I'm bilingual.
All right.
So
look at you.
It's close enough to French that it sort of makes sense, but also close enough that it really messes you up.
Okay, no, that's good though. That's good. So Italy, is it red wine or white wine?
It is red wine.
It gotta be.
And we were just in Italy, so
Thank you.
There it is. Yes, the one we just went to a glass conference for Brett. He was invited, and so we kind of really scrambled to make it happen so we could go out there, even though we're going back in 3 weeks. And it was amazing. It was amazing. It was harder to work from there with the time change.
Yeah.
But realistically, I didn't have plans to go to Milan ever. and neither did Brett. And so this was a great opportunity to see a part of the world that probably wasn't going to make the list unless it was much later when we need walkers.
I think a lot of walkers. Oh my goodness, impromptu walkers. One of the things I feel like with Italy for me, it's always like a romantic getaway. You know what I mean? So it was good to see like the Instagram stuff, like the glass and doing all that and whatnot. Because like if I'm going to Italy, it's because it's straight romantic getaway.
What's interesting is that long ago, like I post, everyone uses Facebook differently.
Yeah.
Right. So I post a lot. For me, like I grew up in so many different cities and schools, and Facebook is my community. So it's like, that's my group.
Yeah.
And I used to share things all the time. And sometimes people like, sometimes people don't. I think it's more just about deciding for you, what is it? And my goal is always to make people feel, if they go onto my social media, like they're there with me. So whatever it is. And then when I listen, sometimes you don't want to listen to people around you, but I listened to the wrong person and they said, oh, you should stop posting so much. So I did. This was like 10 years ago. And then I was getting private messages telling me like how much my posts meant to them and that they were inspiring. And if they had a bad day, they would see something I put up and it would really mean everything. These people never liked anything that I wrote. It just mattered to them. And so I kind of decided right then and there that I wouldn't listen to the naysayers and I would just keep it up. And like, we just posted our trip to Italy. I always post when we get back. I don't like posting when I'm away. And we had like almost 100 people that are just like loving it and commenting. Thank you for sharing. We had one helpful piece of advice from someone that we shouldn't post when we're away. We should try to enjoy our time.
Yeah, but you know what? I think...
And we did we did enjoy the time very much. We just post when we get back. And it's a fun piece for us because you relive it when you do that.
I think one of the biggest things with posting now, I think we're in such this digital age. We're people of impact leaders, community builders, influencers, micro-influencers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like you want to, it's not bragging of like, yo, this is where I'm going. It's just a part of the norm that we're in right now.
Come along with us. Like come see, like, where are you curious? Because I personally love, if I haven't been somewhere, I love seeing someone's post.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, there's that. Like you make a note, you're like, oh, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see this. Like I didn't know anything about the Maldives, but I feel like, I don't know if there was a sale or if it's just on my radar now, but all these people we know started going to the Maldives. And so Brett and I are like, okay, like this is amazing. We definitely need to be a part of this.
Yeah. And the same thing about Fight to End. Like you see a lot of, the participants they're posting on social media.
It's so
I love seeing it. I'm like, yo, did you hire a photographer? Like, where are all these pictures coming from? We're going to talk about that off air though, but you know what I mean? It is what it is. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, yo, it's good to see because it's like, it's about marketing. You're selling yourself. You know what I mean? And I think one of the things that people I just tripped over my words there. One of the things that I think a lot of people don't realize is that you posting something about yourself here could lead to an opportunity.
Yes.
Could lead to branding, could lead to sponsorship. I've seen it done.
Yep.
That's how you get approached, right? So it's like, put yourself out there, especially with the Fight to End event. Like, I won't say too much, but I've been approached by a couple brands. Hey, listen, rep our brand. Hey, let's send you out a shirt. Let's do this. Let's do that. Could you post this for this? And it's a paid opportunity. So it's like, you got to do that, right? Capitalize people,
I love that. No one has approached me. So we'll chat about that after.
It was coming soon. Don't worry. You got to get the wine behind you or something.
There you go.
Yeah. You got a brand. You got the branding billboard. Come on, just do the nose. Could you imagine if it was like, what's your favorite drink of choice?
Oh my goodness.
Any drink or whatever.
Perrier.
I love Perrier water does a commercial or does a social media blog of you just touching your nose like this.
It'd be pretty cool.
Yo, if you're listening.
It'd be pretty cool.
We're putting that out there.
I love it. Actually, so the nose touch, I will say, I was very excited because I found out that Royal LePage used my nose touch as an example in one of their large meetings.
Branding.
Just as like, you know what? Like, it doesn't matter where you are. If someone does this, you think of Krystal.
You have to.
And
signed, sealed, delivered.
And it's, for me, the reason I loved it was just that it's very authentic to me. That's why it works. But also going into a new market, I had to stand out. Like Guelph had, when I left, something like 600 agents. And I think here we're like, I don't know what the actual number is, but many, many more than that. So I had to figure out how to stand out. So that really, that's what marketing is, right?
Yeah.
Like, how can you stand above the crowd? And I think it's the same thing with all the Fight to End posts. Like, I love that you guys are posting up, and I love all the hard work you guys are doing. Like,
there's a lot of work going on.
But it's
at the time we're recording this, you know?
Yeah, it's inspiring.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough. So I'm getting, I've asked people to send me in their reason for fighting. I know you probably got that email too.
I got that email. I haven't sent anything out yet.
I'm excited to get it.
I will eventually. All back channel conversations.
But
Sorry.
what's nice is just to see those reasons, like, why are you fighting? And my assistant is kind of compiling the whole list so we can send it into the marketing team. But just to see those reasons, right? Because I mean, at the end of the day, we are helping Youth Opportunities Unlimited. We're helping a part of our community. Like, we talk about community, it's a part of our community that needs us the most. And we're taking business and fun and fitness and boxing and community, and we're wrapping it all up together and really making an impact,
of course,
as a group,
of course,
which I think is really the seed that binds us all, is that desire, right?
Yeah, and it's getting chippy too, because you like I know the matches at the time we're recording this have not been dictated yet. There's been some rumblings of some stuff, but it's getting chippy in camp. You can see some guys are sizing up certain dudes.
Yeah,
there's some conversations happening.
And I think.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I would say, okay, so as Fight Mama, my goal obviously is to have everyone feel happy. We're allowed 32 fighters every year, and we usually have like 40 plus people to work with. So my hope is always that people go in knowing that, with a clear heart, and knowing that if they don't get chosen to fight in the ring for this year, that they will be still motivated enough to help us with the cause and to stay connected. And I'd say, like, business side, not to burn a bridge, because we have people this year that are in fight camp that were in fight camp last year and couldn't get matched up.
Oh, wow. Right?
So it's like there's also people that didn't make it through in 2019 that they were pretty upset. Mm-hmm. And understandably so, if you've been fighting towards something. But I think what we're fighting towards is taking a step to fight homelessness in the city.
Absolutely.
And the byproduct of that is that we all get to have this fun event.
Of course, fun event.
But I think it
gets chippy too.
It does. It's competitive. And you know what? There's nothing you can do if it's like a huge game of musical chairs.
Of course.
There are 32 chairs.
Absolutely.
Side note, never play musical chairs with Brett. He told me that right from the time I first met him, even when we were friends. He said, it is in your best interest, if you want to see me in a good light, to never play musical chairs with me. I always win.
Well, you know what? This is where it comes to competition, and even in relationships. Like, I'm a big Monopoly guy, and I play Monopoly straight up. I play it. No, I don't sugarcoat. I don't cheat. I don't do anything like that.
Okay.
And I remember I had an ex, and I'll openly speak about this also too. We played with her family and ended up beating every single one of the people in the family. And I told her, I was like, this is where it's going to start from. I didn't tell my moves, because I can't give the people like the blueprint, the algorithm blueprint. But if you play Monopoly from an actual colors perspective, you'd be surprised what you can do. But I can't give out them tips.
Okay.
I can't.
I don't even need them. You know what? I don't like playing Monopoly.
Yeah, because it can get chippy too.
Well, when I play with my family, somehow everyone like gangs up on me.
That's what happens.
And I don't love it.
It's not fun.
So you
gotta be the boss on the board.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm very friendly. And if I'm negotiating for a client, I'm very much like, we will do this diplomatically, but I've got their back, and we'll get there.
Absolutely.
But it's also very much about camaraderie with my colleagues. And I find with Monopoly, you can't have camaraderie with your colleagues. You just have to kick them off their railroad. And I'm not designed for that.
It gets chippy, trust me. Especially when you own one piece of the board, right? Yeah. And they go right across, and they land on those properties. And if you roll a snake eyes, it's game over. There's hotels on them. You do take
Monopoly seriously. You can see it.
Oh, I take it.
Your whole demeanor changed.
Have
You're just like a boss. I love it.
That's how it is. When are you going to get in the ring for Fight to End?
So
You know I'm going to ask you that question.
Of course, that's okay. So I originally signed up as a participant in 2019, and I started the training, and I was just too busy with work to actually give it my all, and decided to step out. And then the night of the event, I kind of fell into my role as Fight Mama because we didn't have anyone to bring the fighters up and down. We had Sarah, who's amazing at RBC, who was happy to help, but she also had to run the event in the background for RBC. So I kind of I'm always happy to help, stepped in, and I just kind of became that person and fell in love with that role. So I love being the helper and the guide, which interestingly enough, in my experience of life, I'm never in the background. Not sad about it, not there's no sensitivity about it, but I'm always out front. So in this situation, I'm kind of in the back, and like even last year, people were like, "Oh, were you not there?" I'm like, "No, I was there. It's just that my role is support. So my role is literally bringing you guys up and down, making sure everyone's okay, getting the doctor if we have to, setting up the room. Like that's kind of my whole thing."
You say bringing us up. Can you speak on that? What does that mean?
So the way the venue is set up is that the change rooms for the fighters are on the main level and the event is on the second level. So literally bringing you up. So like we bring each fighter, the red and the blue, up together with the coaches, and that happens 16 times.
16 times.
16 times.
You never bring them up separate?
We bring them up. No, we all walk together.
We all walk together?
Yeah, we all walk together.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I want to walk together with that person.
Where's the love?
There's love.
Where's the love?
After.
You don't have to look at them.
I'm not going to be looking at them.
Oh, okay.
I had to look at them enough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just whatever.
That's okay. You just eyes front.
I got to.
We can, you know what?
I'm probably still going to have my headphones in, to be honest.
You can also just bring your own like large cardboard and we can make someone hold it for you in front of your face.
Oh, absolutely. Dividers. Dividers. We'll see what happens. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Locked in.
There it is.
Can't see them. Can't see me. It's all good. I got to put humor into it a little bit.
It's good. No, absolutely. Did you order any merch from our new merch store?
I'm going to be getting some merch.
So I just got an email today that our merch is ready, and I'm so excited.
Yes.
I forwarded the email to Brett so he can go pick it up.
Yes. I want a hoodie. Need a hoodie.
Yes.
Hoodie season.
Under Armour hoodies.
Yeah, hoodie season's upon us.
I know.
I need that for NFL Sunday.
We just watched games last night.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Well,
at the time of recording this.
At the time we're recording it,
Week
and
one.
Many other times probably in the future, my Minnesota Vikings were not victorious.
You're a who?
Minnesota Vikings. Go Vikes, go.
If you look at the time, ladies and gentlemen, it's...
I'm a Vikings fan because my dad is a Vikings fan.
Fair, okay.
And Brett is a Detroit Lions fan.
I know something like that. He's always said that.
So we brought, a few years ago, we brought our dads, because his dad's also a Detroit Lions fan. So we brought our dads to a Vikings and Lions game.
That's amazing.
It doesn't really matter who won. It was the Vikings. But what's important is that we all had fun.
How is that in the household when you guys both your teams are playing against each other?
So we have some friendly bets. And
somebody has to do the dishes.
No. We had a bet where the other person had to put up a post about how great the winning team was. So I have a picture of Brett wearing my hoodie, making Vikings horns, and then posting about how great the Vikings are. It's fantastic.
Brett's going to listen to this and see this, and I feel like he's going to be like, no, it's me and Rory in the ring.
Who's to say? And he's, you know what? He's our only knockout in the history of Fight to End so far.
He's the only knockout?
He's the only one that's knocked someone out.
Oh, Lord. See, I love how this podcast is going.
Yeah.
The only one.
The only one.
Interesting. I think there's going to be some this year.
It's hard to say. I mean, I think the thing is, the biggest issue that we worry about always, obviously, we don't want anyone getting hurt. Yeah. We're all here for charity. Keep your hands up.
And move out the way.
Move wherever you can and make sure you train. So that's why the training is mandatory all together. And that's why we make sure that everyone's ready.
Okay, Fight Mama, let's talk about this. How do you guys dictate on the colors?
Oh, the red and the blue? Well, this one's going to be an easy answer for me, Rory.
Okay.
Because I have nothing to do with it.
Okay, that's fine.
Brett has it all figured out with Mark.
I'm team red. I'm just letting you know, red's my color.
I don't even know.
I'm going to be team red. Can't
I don't
be blue.
even know.
Blue's bad luck for me.
I would let him know ASAP.
Oh, I'm going to have to put it out there.
Because, I have nothing to do with the colors. I will say both colors are amazing.
Of course. But red's my favorite color.
And if you blend them, it's actually purple, which is a Minnesota Vikings color, which that's fun.
Which you kind of just gave out a spoiler. Oh, we can't talk about that on the show yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It has something to do with the fight apparel.
Oh, okay. I think for the colors, really, like, at the end of the day, there's team red, team blue. It's all
my
team.
stomach is growing.
Oh, are you hungry?
No, it's fine. It's staying in here. Keep going.
You're good.
This is crazy. Like, why is my stomach doing that?
I think the best, the best thing I can say is that all the teams are fantastic. All the people are fantastic, and the colors don't really mean anything.
Well, I feel like if you have a favorite color.
If you have a favorite color, you can mention it.
That's what I'm gonna do. Blue's kind of off to me. I'm always red.
What's wrong with blue? I mean, Royal LePage is red, so I agree with you.
Red's always been my color, but I don't wear it because it's more subtle for me.
So maybe you should start like subtly influencing the choice by wearing red every time you go to fight camp.
I think they
wear a lot of red.
Yeah, I could do that. Or I'll just talk to Mark.
Red.
And Brett.
You could do both.
Sign me up.
Do both. You have a headband?
Yeah, red. Yeah, I could do that.
Just like you can even go excessive on it and like get some like red face paint.
Red face paint.
And just be like, what are you doing?
The war paint.
I'm obviously team red, so I just thought I would really emphasize red.
War paint. No, I love that. I can't wait for the event. My only request is, because I've been eating pretty clean.
Yeah.
So whoever's listening to this and watching this, I'll have some friends that will be there. Make sure you have my pizza at the end ready.
Pizza,
I'm
absolutely.
Craving Domino's pizza right now.
I hear that.
Craving.
You're craving Domino's pizza?
Which other pizza place do you go to?
Sorry, Domino's. No.
Branding's over.
Domino's is amazing. Our kids love Domino's, and it's not that I don't, but you know how, and maybe it was Domino's for you, but for me, growing up, we had this pizza place around the corner from my grandmother's house. And it was called Tony's Pizza in Ottawa. And it was just this fresh, amazing, like, I don't know, wood oven pizza, who's to say? But it was amazing. And Vera's Pizza right next to our house tastes just like it.
Really?
So
same recipe?
Maybe.
Could be.
Different city though.
Love
so who's
that.
To say?
You never know.
But then I just had pizza in Italy.
Oh, well,
and now
that's
none
different.
of the pizza is good enough because that's the one I want.
Of course. But we can't all go to Italy to get pizza.
We can't.
You know what I mean?
We can't.
And by the time it gets to us, it's going to be like not really,
It'll be gross.
You got to get down there and have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to have it.
Where's you speak about a lot of the places here in surrounding areas. What's your favorite city?
Ooh, interestingly enough.
And why is it your favorite city?
So I'm actually going to say that my favorite city is London.
Okay.
And why? It's because it feels like home. And it's very interesting because I grew up in Ottawa. I was born in Montreal, grew up in Ottawa. I lived in Guelph for 8 years. I felt very much like Guelph had become a home. But when I look at where do I feel most at peace and most like me, and where I'm just like, it's here. My family's here. So my husband, our kids, and I still have family in Ottawa and I have family in Toronto. So I love visiting. But even going back to Ottawa is so strange because it doesn't feel like home anymore. And yeah, I feel really lucky that I've only been here since, like, I moved here in 2019, started spending a lot of time here in 2017. And I moved here like a few months before the pandemic. So being here didn't feel like home at first, but it feels like home now.
If there's one thing you could change in the city, what would that be?
Oh my goodness. Where's my helicopter?
On the
traffic.
roof? On the roof?
The traffic. That'd be nice.
The construction?
The construction and the traffic.
Is disgusting. I think, sorry, Lemon.
It's horrible. No, it's absolutely horrible. Like, I think if you want to fall out of love with our city, get stuck by a train for 20 minutes, wait for it.
Right on Richmond.
And then watch it stop and go the other way.
Right on Richmond.
That is a way to disillusion yourself from the love of our city. And I think really right now would be, and this is kind of why it's so important that what we're doing with Fight to End is the downtown, and how it is really just such a problem with people experiencing homelessness, with people who are on drugs, with crime, violence, like all of this stuff that's happening downtown, which I don't think there's an easy solution. I think every step that we take towards creating a solution is really important.
No, that makes
so
sense.
I'd say like that is tough when even sharing with people about the city, because there are neighborhoods where no one could be walking downtown. Like, as a woman, I wouldn't walk downtown alone.
I don't think you want anywhere that is in the world, you know?
True.
Especially late at night.
So late at night. But I mean, even if I was walking, there's just some areas, and I think every city has them. It seems like it's getting a little bit worse. And it's probably getting worse everywhere. A hard left turn, which we don't have to go into, but I've recently been learning all about the opioid crisis. And like, I deep dove into learning about it. My mom had a pretty intense surgery in August, and they prescribed her, I forget what it's called, but it's like an opioid. So she took a very small amount of it. They told her she should take more. She said, no, I'd like to not take more. So she's off of it now. She only took it for a week. But she was surprised at how it was being pushed. And then we watched, there's a Netflix special called Painkiller about OxyContin. So as a young person, I heard about like Oxy a few times, but it never even crossed my mind to try it. But then seeing what it's doing to the world right now, mostly North America. So I will say, I don't know why only North America, but
we won't go there because they'll end me now.
Okay.
But it's like, the world is a very interesting place.
It is.
And I feel like there's certain things that are being pushed.
Yeah.
And there's a narrative.
Yeah.
Is it, I have some speculations, but I won't go there.
Okay.
Just because it's like off-air conversation.
Yeah, no,
but I think we're probably on the same page.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I do think, though, that when we're looking at what is happening to people, because I think what's happened, from what I understand anyway, is that it started with this overprescribing of OxyContin. That became too expensive. Heroin, that became too expensive. Fentanyl. And now we have entire cities like San Francisco that's just falling apart. And Brett and I just saw a notice yesterday that like 11 people died in a week in Toronto from opioid overdoses.
It's sad.
It's very sad.
And fentanyl is dangerous too, because that's what they're lacing a lot of these drugs with.
And apparently, if you haven't ever done that and you have it one time, you can die.
Right.
It's so we had a good talk with our kids too, to say like, listen, like if you're at a party and someone says, hey, try this, maybe don't
even try any of that. No,
because it's not just like, oh, it might be a fun night. It might be like, oh, it might be your last night. And
it's a sad world we live in. It's reality too, because you have to kind of play like defense a lot of the time. Even when the only thing I do that's drug related is I drink alcohol, but it's not like over assumption of a lot of alcohol. And you go out and you get drinks and things like that, and then it's like I don't want to call it like say too much, but like you see a lot of people say like they notice where they've suddenly felt different after one drink.
Oh yeah.
Because
that's happened to me before.
This, like, you know what I mean? The people that are in this world or in these establishments, they're in cahoots with other people, and it's just like, yo, stop like playing on people's lives. Yes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it can be really scary.
You know,
Brett and I actually stopped drinking during COVID. We went on 2 all-inclusives in January and February 2020, and then just decided to take a break. Then the whole world shut down. We ended up not drinking for like basically 420 days.
Oh, wow.
We finally just stopped it because we were in Blue Mountain. We wanted to sit on a patio with the sun, and they had nothing available that was a non-alcoholic that wasn't just like pop.
Yeah.
So what I noticed in that time, though, if you ever want to see like how messed up the world is, stop drinking.
Oh, 100%.
It was everywhere. And like if you tell people that you're not drinking, they get so weird.
And they look at you, you have like 18 heads.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, is it okay if I drink? Like, is that okay? And you're like, no, I'm not.
It's fine.
I'm good. Like, it's fine.
Yeah. It's like, it's all good. Do your thing.
We discovered that like, that's where we got into non-alcoholic beer and stuff, because people don't actually care what's in your cup as long as they don't feel weird drinking.
Right. And that's the thing. Like I've been out, you know what I mean? And just with the whole Fight To End, that's one of the things I've done. Like I don't drink all the time, but it's like you go out with your friends, you have a dinner, you have a couple of drinks, it is what it is. I haven't touched alcohol in about 3 or 4 months. And it's going out, and when you see other people and they're drinking and they're hooting and they're hollering, you're like, yo.
Or they tell you the same story 4 times. That's
Right.
happened to me. And they're so excited. They're like, Krystal, and then this happened. And you're like, you definitely told me that like 5 minutes ago.
You just told me that 5 minutes ago.
But I'm
you know what I
excited
mean?
for you.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'd say like when it comes to alcohol or even stuff like with drugs, I think the other reason it's so important for people to know more about Youth Opportunities Unlimited. So a lot of the kids that are coming into this program, they might be experiencing homelessness for the first time, second time, whatever it is. But they've actually said that if they can stop the cycle of someone being on the streets for 30 days. So once they hit 30 days, it's almost impossible to get them back. They can still do it, but it's a lot harder. But their goal is to get them kind of the services, things they need. Because if you're stuck on the street, if your peer group is drinking and doing drugs and maybe doing heroin or fentanyl or whatever it is, if that's the people that you trust in the world, then you're probably going to try and do it too, right? Because the need to belong and the need to be part of the group is so strong in people. And so I don't think that what we're doing is the only answer, but I think it's a piece of the puzzle. And I think every piece that we can do as a community, as a group, just to try and solve it, because we are here to help each other. There's a limit. Like someone has to be willing to help themselves too.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
it's just I think it's fantastic. I love to see like we have 40 people that have just like put their lives on hold to professionally like Boxing Ontario fight in November just to try and make the world a little bit better. Like, that's amazing.
Absolutely.
And you should be so proud of yourself.
Of course. Maybe take it to the other level after this, right? You never know. I think I get like
You're gonna have a real record.
Yeah, you have a real record. Either somebody's always got to go, you know.
Brett just got his boxing certification.
I know. I saw
coaching,
that.
right?
Yeah.
So he can help you.
He better be in my corner.
There you go.
You better have him. Whoever else wants to be in the corner.
Should say that.
Red corner.
I think Brett was red. Brett
He
was
was
team red.
You better be team red, not team blue.
He was team red.
Blue. Like somebody's always got to go. That's the way I like to say it. So
As Fight Mama, I support blue and red.
yes, somebody's always got to go though, ladies and gentlemen. What's your inner motivation that doesn't basically go into money or scaling?
So I think the thing is, I'm pretty lucky that I'm not money motivated. Like obviously we all need money.
For sure.
That's how the world works. But what it really comes down to is at the end of every day, have you made your life better and have you improved lives around you? And those are the things that you need your why, right? So you need to know, what are you doing it for? And as a real estate broker, but I think just as a business person, there are days, I think I almost quit 3-4 times a year because we're all about making people happy, but making people happy 100% of the time is impossible. So if you feel like you've let someone down or someone's you just get someone in front of you that doesn't shouldn't be around you. Maybe they're not your type of person. Maybe they just don't have your best interest in mind. It can be very demoralizing. So you just always have to circle back to, why am I doing this? And just keep putting one foot in front of the other, right? So I think the biggest thing is, it's not every day is going to be perfect. But if you know in your heart that you're doing something that is going to better not only your life and your experience, but be something that you can be proud of, and that you know you've gone and helped people around you, I think that's really all you need. And it's always learning, right?
Absolutely.
You're always growing,
Absolutely.
always learning.
Absolutely. And that's well said. I feel like I always say, reach one to teach one, right?
Yeah.
And, so many times I had a conversation prior to this being recorded. It's already out. It was with Dion. And Dion Rocha, Strong House Performance. Said that right? Tongue twister. He's probably gonna be like, Rory. It's all good. But it's the same thing. It's like, he was talking about business. It's so many of these entrepreneurs get into this vortex. We need money to survive, but it's always about scale, 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 scale. I've always said is, what happens when the money's not there anymore?
Yeah.
What happens if you can't scale? What happens if you reached your peak, you plateau? Then what it does come down to the quality of life.
Absolutely.
And I think it's about who you impact. And I think a lot of people, and I will say this is my words, I see a lot of these entrepreneurs, or the people that we look up to, they end up becoming alone, because it's like, it's always about the money. And how many relationships did you ruin?
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's about building, and I'm always about building relationships. Has to be about building relationships. If you don't build the relationship, I'm telling you, you're not going to go anywhere.
It absolutely does. And I think a lot of the time, when we look at kind of the A personalities and the go-getting personality that you need to be in this kind of an industry, it's a catch-22 a little bit, because I've had coaches, like, we'll take 2021 and 2022. We had these like banner years, and I moderated a Zoom Christmas party for a bunch of realtors in the US. And I think there were 50, and everyone said like, hello, my name is Bob. I'm from Maryland. And this year was my best year ever. And by the 30th person, I felt like I said, okay, the moderator acknowledges that everyone has had their best year ever.
Like, what's next? Like, let's build off of this. Is there anything we could say? Because everyone had their best year ever, and that's fine. But then we have coaches that are like, okay, so this is what you did. Let's see how we can do better next year. And I remember having a talk with my coach, and I said, listen, if it's possible, sure. But I'm not about to turn my life upside down to match something that was fueled by a global pandemic, right? Like, if we can do better, fine. But what you're doing is setting up a lot of people for failure, because these market conditions are not going to keep going. So if you start making budgeting decisions based on something that was not realistic, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, right? So, I mean, we have a very solid business model, and it's all based on referral, doing a great job. So it does continue to grow. But if you don't have that in place, you can't expect things just to keep getting bigger because you want them to. Exactly. And that's why it's like, even in podcasting, it's wild how small this community really is. Even though I'm operating in London, Ontario, but it's like, from connections to Toronto, from Toronto to you going across the border, right? To going all these different places. The network is pretty big. Yeah. But there's a lot of similarities with a lot of people. And it's like so crazy, like a big podcast group that's out of Toronto, Money Buys Happiness. They've had a gentleman, David Meltzer, on their podcast. They did it in SoFi Stadium. Amazing. Great opportunity. Shout outs to, Ernesto and Anthony. David Meltzer came on my podcast back in 2021.
Nice.
And when I told Ernesto about this, he's like, I didn't even know. And I was like, right? So it's crazy.
Okay.
And it's like, when you get into these networking groups, it's like, always establish those and check in.
Yes.
Just check in. Sometimes it's not only about, saying the thank you, but just check in like, hey, just catching up how things been.
Yes.
Because you'd be surprised what comes from that.
Absolutely.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Could be an opportunity, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely. No, I think you're so good at that too. I think it's really just about getting in to that connection. I would say I'm really good at building kind of a strong rapport quickly in some situations, like with clients. With clients, like if you give me 10 minutes, I can usually get a pretty great connection. Brett is amazing at doing this with strangers. And so like what we always joke, like he'll come to a networking event with me or something and he's like, yeah, and like this person and then their daughter is going to Atlanta. I'm like, how did you were there for 5 minutes? He's like, I ask.
You ask, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't want to ask questions. A lot of people don't want to ask questions. And I always say is sometimes don't be shy. Like where I work, and I keep it off the record just because with the podcast and everything, people put two and two together. I will make some of the most authentic communication with some people. And you always will hear your coworkers will say is, you know everybody. And it's like, no, it's not that I don't know. It's not that I know everybody. It's that I leave that lasting impression.
Yes.
It's about creating transformation instead of transactional.
Yes. It's relationship and it's showing people you care.
Exactly.
When I have the chance to sit and talk with people, I feel good about that connection. I find though, in a large group, it's really tough for me. Like I have anxiety. And so in a large group, it gets a little bit more difficult, but one-on-one, especially if I'm able to help or guide or give care in some way, I find like that's a good strength. But what I also like is that we all have different strengths. Absolutely. And so together it makes us all stronger.
Absolutely. Before we get out of here, I don't know if you've ever heard me ask this question about 1% better. How do we become 1% better?
How do I or how do we?
How do I? How do we?
I would say...
We're we right here.
We are a we. The best way to get 1% better is to take the things that are most important to you and focus on them. So if that is fitness, if it is mental health, if it is connection, whatever it is, take one thing a day and just add it. So if you want to be closer with your friends, send a message. If you want to be closer with your family, book time. If you want to be better at business, make a few more calls. So it really just comes down to breaking those huge pieces into actionable items every day. And I think that's really what it comes down to.
Love that you say that. Fight to end. Fight mama.
Yeah.
Krystal. You did that. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, you won't do it even one time? Like right now?
Maybe the end.
There it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's how we end.
Thank you.